And we are taking a look at a part two to this series on careers for young people. And of course, what we can do as adults, maybe to help position kids for success. That's one of the big themes here that I think is really worth checking out. Knowing that there is a brave new world right here on the very beginning of the precipice of what the future holds. It's really kind of important for us to check this thing out. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are live here from the studio. I told myself that as long as I have coffee, I'm going to go live. And so I went ahead and started a second live here right now with the idea that we are trying to understand better what is happening with the job market out there. And maybe we should say call it the Brave New World. There's an old book called The Brave New World. Of course, in the new world, what is going to be out there? What opportunities are going to stop existing? Like, hey, back during the Industrial Revolution, if you remember back from the days of school, there was this time period where people used to spin thread right out of their houses. They would use the textiles here, once again, a very labor intensive process to produce clothing, of course. And this was, we're talking 1400s, 1500s, 1600s. And this labor intensive process was how people put food on the table, clothes on the back of their children. But of course, it's extremely labor intensive. And what happened? Well, the Industrial Revolution came along and it completely undermined the old way of doing things. And so with that came a completely different set of opportunities when the machines took over the work of the people. And the people who used to spin yarn or weave thread, bam, they are out. And instead, a new process developed. And that new process became okay, the machines can do the work, they can do the work of 1,000 people. And so everybody, the costs were driven down. And maybe more importantly, hey, welcome. Go ahead and drop a like here and comments. Love to hear from you. Thank you for joining me. My name is Brian. This is the Economics Report, and I do respond to comments, at least ones that are on topic. We are talking about Matt. Hey, glad you're here, but I'm glad you are here today. We're talking really about careers in the future, and just started this thing off today. 9 more of you joining. We're talking about the careers of the future, right? Whether you're the adult, hey, maybe you are a youth, but the fact is, hey, what about the future here? What are we looking at in the not too distant future when it comes to careers? We have the president swearing that he's bringing manufacturing back to the United States. We see huge investments coming together, Matt and others that are here. But on top of that, you have to take a look at what does the AI revolution have to offer here, right? We know that there's going to be construction of data centers. There's going to be all types of trades needed, like electricians, to help make these data centers work. And of course, there's people who are going to have to build those, and maybe to a lesser extent, people who are going to have to manage the finances. So you know that there's going to be a complete, maybe convergence of not just the people who go to college and have the degree to specialize and do certain types of work, but of course, the trades, people using their hands. And I'm throwing that out there to you. And by the way, I do respond to all the comments here that are appropriate. They are up the tax on, well, you know what, Matt? I got to be honest with you. I'm not spending too much time in that category for no other reason than uh, the people who are doing these types of things, who, like, without a doubt, there's always a reason. Hey, let me tell you something, Matt, that, well, at one point in time, the mafia used to control gambling. The mafia used to control loan sharking. The mafia used to control drugs. And what do you see now in 2025? Well, the government taxes this. The government taxes loan sharking. The government taxes gambling. And maybe that's the bigger picture, because all of a sudden you just become a consumer, and what are they doing? Well, they're going ahead and taxing people on their own foibles, right? So just understand There's always a game getting played, and we ought to make sure, Matt, that people like us aren't getting played by the government because they're always trying to find a way into your pocket. And by the way, if you've not liked or subscribed yet, I'd love to have you join me on a regular basis. Today's release was all about uh, careers, college, and trades, and what the jobs of the future are going to hold. And I want to remind you of that because it's a really, really important thing here. And if you're subscribed, you're going to get this type of stuff delivered to your inbox on a regular basis, like daily. That's what we've been doing with this channel so far. I've been showing up live 3 to 4 days a week. So it's another thing here. I'll probably be taking the 4th of July off. You want to drop your zip code where you're from, or if you're from a different country, go ahead and drop your flag in there as well. But we are talking about all different types of things here that are really going to impact you. And maybe at the beginning of this cast, we started speaking about the Industrial Revolution and the old way of doing things, right? And the fact is that history does teach us some really important lessons, and the old way of doing things might not. Matt, you are Matt from Baltimore. I'm glad to have you, man. Baltimore is a way cool city in a way cool state, and it's a happening area, and you've got some pretty good sports teams there as well. So good stuff there. Thank you for subscribing, Matt. So I want to make sure that we're following the ideas. What do the jobs of the future hold, right? And if you were going to counsel a kid who's in high school or in school period, what would you say? Go learn a trade, start your own business, go to college, right? And there's benefits to each of those. And of course, the other part is, well, there are some things to take into consideration. And maybe one of the most important things we can teach anybody is the ability to adapt, the ability to keep taking action, the ability to keep moving their game forward, and of course, have a system in place. And the system's going to be what helps you become successful, right? Small, tiny, repeatable habits that will create the compound effect of powerful ways to show up in life, right? That's a huge key. And no matter what you do, whether it's college, whether it's a trade, whether it's something like starting your own business, the compound effect of showing up and showing up right really does matter a ton. And once again, folks, I am answering to people that are inside the chat. If you drop a comment that's appropriate, I'd be happy to respond to you about that. And of course, make sure you are liking and subscribing because that does matter. YouTube is kind of crazy about that stuff, and so I'm almost embarrassed to ask, but we're shooting for 215 subscribers today on this channel, and right now we are about, I think, 211, 212, which isn't a bad number, and I'm pretty certain by the time this other video is released on career, technical industry jobs, and of course what the best future for young people is, it's a great place to be. And maybe you're older, maybe you're younger, maybe you're a parent, but the fact is your thoughts and your ideas really do matter a ton. And once again, if we're liked, we're subscribed, and if you think other people should be part of this, go ahead and invite them. I welcome them to be part of this live today. We're talking about, once again, what the future looks like and what the future opportunities are. We mentioned before that, hey, Trump is promising a ton of manufacturing coming back. That's part of what the manipulation is with the tariff system. And I got to be honest with you. I'm from Ohio, and in Ohio, we've seen a ton of manufacturing leave over the past 20 years. It's been ridiculous. Ford plant gone, General Motors plant gone, Chrysler plant gone, and those were really good paying jobs. And I got to be honest with you, watching those factories close, watching those jobs leave, and also seeing the machinery from those amazing plants get shipped off to China was really an upsetting thing to see. And I will tell you this much, America needs manufacturing, and not just because it can be done cheaper somewhere else, but the fact is that you got to be able to produce your own things, because everything I know is that when you're able to domestically produce things and then domestically produce them, all the stores and the malls are starting to close. Ain't no doubt about that, Matt. Matt, why is that happening, do you think? The stores at the malls are closing up for certain. As a matter of fact, during the 80s, there was the malling of America. Malls popped up all over the place. So why are the malls closing now in 2025? What are your thoughts there? If you want to give us some thoughts, rents are too much to afford. I agree with you, but there's also another thing here that's kind of putting a lot of pressure on these malls, and the rent is going up. It's getting too expensive. They might have to eventually rethink those spaces. The other piece of the equation is, boy, people can shop. They can walk into the mall. They can take a look at the rack. You better believe it, pal. You are right on the money here. And it's those kind of insights that really make this channel happening. I really do hope you're subscribed, because I really do hope that you're receiving these videos on a regular basis, because we need people just like you with those insights. It's amazing, amazing stuff. But yeah, I mean, you probably do it all the time. I went to buy dog food for the dog the other day. I walk into a retail store and I saw the price and I'm like, hey, you know, what's the best you can do? They're like, well, we price match online. Like, so I went ahead and went to Amazon and said, well, here's what they're offering. And I saved myself 20 bucks on a bag of dog food, right? So, Matt, you're right on the money, because I think a lot of other people do exactly the same thing. They're constantly putting pressure on the system. And here's the thing to maybe make a thought about. If you have an Amazon, a Walmart.com, and whatever else pops up in the future, you have 2, 3, 4 different places, platforms to buy product from. What does that do to the system? What does that do to convenience? And maybe we become over reliant on 3 to 4 different shoppers here. And I don't know about you. I think that part of what makes retail work, at least in-person retail work, is the fact that you do like getting out of the house. And I don't think the American dream is necessarily sitting on your posterior waiting for packages to constantly be delivered because you don't leave the house. But there's also an efficiency there that we must take into consideration, right? Could you imagine grocery shopping every week? Uh, Whatever you need dumped off right at your door. You miss the experience of interacting with people. You miss the experience of trying on the shoes, trying on the clothing. And of course, I guess you could put it back in and send it right out. But there's another piece here. There's a positive and a negative to that. So really, really a great observation, Matt. Mm. And with that, boy, I've been live here for 13 minutes already. It just seems like we're here finishing off the rest of this coffee. And I want to remind you that I do put out a daily cast. You remind me of Pops. He a history and economics teacher. Yeah, well, I do have a lot of interest in history, and I most definitely uh, remind me. Most definitely have a channel here. It's called the Economic Report. And Matt, it's my hope that you hold Pops in a very high regard, because I'm quite certain your Pops is looking out for you, and of course, uh, making an impact here, which is huge. With that, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you to subscribe, to like, and of course, I will be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. going live once again. I'm not even sure what the topic will be, but I will promise you a video will be released from the economics report. My name is Brian, and I want to remind you of a couple simple things here in closing. The biggest battle you fight every single day is the one between your ears, over your thoughts, your actions, and your attitude. Win that battle. How do you win the battle? One of the things you can do that really makes a huge impact is taking care of your health, right? Because your health affects every other aspect of your life. And with that, hey, make sure you're liked and subscribed so I can deliver to you on a daily basis. Thanks for joining me, and I will catch you guys later. Have a great day.